Well, here it is, Saturday evening on July 2nd, 2016. I've finished stripping the cabinet down of this console unit here, and it seems to have all come off pretty well. Came off the sides and cleaned up pretty good. I got out here last night with it and just took my time and got in it as best as I could. Now, there's still a couple of dark spots on it, but I believe it's different species of wood or something. Like up in here, this is kind of dark, but that won't come off, and when I go to redo it, I want to need it to be a little bit dark anyway. And this in here I want to try to do with that brown looking, dark brown or black or something like that. I still got to clean out the insides a bit. I've got it just dry cleaned with just an old dry towel. Cleaned it out, but I even got down in here on the back side of these ribs here. Got all that stripped out, so it's ready to be stain toned and lacquered. Just got to order all that stuff. I've got a little bit of clear lacquer, but I don't, and I might even have some walnut stain. Now, I don't know if I should stain it and then use toner on it, or just use the toner as a stain and not worry about staining it. These down here don't need staining. When they're wet, boy, they're really that dark walnutty color. See, right now I'm going to try. I've got the old dial here, dial scale, and you can see there's been a few places on those bars here where the paint has come off. It's not off of the numbers or anything, not off of any of the little marker lines or anything like that. It's just on these ovals here, these racetracks, I guess you can call them. And I want to try, rather than buy a new one of these just yet, I'm going to try to take some of this white acrylic paint in this little brush here. Have to put on my reading glasses so I can see to do it that small, but I want to put some of that paint on this little towel here and dab it and try to go over here and fill in these spots where the paint's missing. Now, it may not work too well, and if it doesn't, well, then I'll just go to Radio Days and order a reproduction one. But I'm hoping it'll come out okay, because like I say, I mean, everything on here is in good shape except for these spots like there, here, here, and so on. So we'll try that and we'll see how it comes out. Okay, well, I've tried it here and I got as close as I could. Now, it looks a lot brighter on this side, but the paint's just dull on this side. When I turn it over, it looks a lot closer to it. The paint's not dry yet. I've just finished here just a moment ago. But now if I turn it up like this, you can see I got it filled back in. What I want to do here after it dries is take a razor and try to score it a little bit to make it match up better, and then scrape it back from where I've scored, and hopefully it'll come out looking halfway decent. We'll have to wait for that to dry. Now I want to set that off to the side, and I guess I'll go ahead and start working on the chassis a little bit here. I thought these wires might have been brittle, where it looks like they've been. Let me see if I can zoom in here a little bit. If I can hold this camera steady. Yeah, I thought this here was brittle. It's not. These wires are very pliable. That's just been chewed off by that mouse that was in there, I think. But all these rubber wires in here, they don't even feel like rubber. They almost feel like vinyl. Now the power cord, yes, it was brittle. It was very brittle. But the rest of these wires are pretty pliable. I mean, they're not cracking or falling apart or anything. I mean, they bend pretty good. So I think I'm going to just replace the ones that have been bared, and the rest of the wires I'm going to not touch. There's a couple of them up on the top, up where the push buttons are, that have been chewed all the way through, that I'll have to replace or get put back together or something. Look at this here. Dry electrolytic. Is that, I wonder, a replacement for one of these capacitors up on the top side? And possibly too, this big 5 microfarad capacitor here. I notice it's got a plus on the far right side of it there. I'm wondering if that might be some kind of a replacement for another electrolytic, but I'll have to get out the schematic and look and see what all it takes here first. I need to get over here, and I've got the choke kindly let down here right now. There's the choke laying there. I want to get the transformer, which is just barely bolted on. It's only got, it had 2 bolts holding it, and only one of them was original. I want to get up and ohm out the transformer, make sure they're all good. All the connections on it are good. There's no open lines or anything. But really, that's about where it stands right now. I'm going to have to order a couple of capacitors, I know. But I got a bunch of stuff I got to order. I got to order some light bulbs for this thing. I got to order the capacitors. I got to check all the resistors in here. Hopefully I won't need a new dial glass. If I do, I'll have to order one of those. I've got to order that toner and a couple of tubes I've got to order and whatnot, but it's coming along slowly but surely. I did get, let me back the camera back out here. Set it down here, back on its tripod, and I left it over here. I got a really good schematic from Chuck Schwark at the Philco repair bench. There's his, let me see if I can get it in the camera there. There's his address. But if you go online to the Philco repair bench and mail him $7 and tell him what model number of Philco you have, I think it's between the late 20s, like 1927 or something like that, to 1947. He will send you a really good quality schematic. I learned about this from John from Arkansas, and it comes with, he'll send you the service bulletins for it, and it'll have, let's see if I can get it opened up here. It's just got all kinds of information in it, preliminary checks and calibrating the dial back plate. Shows how to set up a dial cord. And different tests to isolate trouble within section 1 and test to isolate trouble within section 2. Very detailed. Of course, section 3, section 4, FM tests, AM alignment procedure, FM alignment procedure. A lot more than what I could get off of Nostalgia Air, I tell you that. And a lot clearer too. Plus with Nostalgia Air, I don't have a printer. So I have to go into the house and write down what I got to look at and bring it back out here and try to remember it all. And there's replacement parts list and their part numbers and whatnot. Miscellaneous. There's several different service bulletins for it. Home radio yearbook. Complete radio and phono information. Now this one doesn't have a phonograph on it, but we got a large printout of the different sections of the schematic as well. Say all in all for $7, you can't hardly beat it. But I definitely recommend him if you're working on a Philco and between 1927 and 1947, you need a schematic for it. If you know the model number, you need to get in touch with Chuck Schwartz there. Now here's something I've run across that I don't really understand from the videos I've seen. I know folks have marked off on their schematics that they'll get, that they'll count around clockwise on the pins, marking them off 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Well, if I look at these, it'll show like 2 being here, but then 6 being here, 5, 4, 7 being down here, 8 here, 1 here. So I understand you got 1, 2, but then why does it go 6, 5, 4 instead of 3, 4, 5? You know what I mean? if they're going to run them that way. Another example be up here. See this one here? You got pin 1 there, pin 8 beside of it, 7, 6, 5, 4, but 2 is 2 here, and then 3 here, and then 5 here. You got, so like I say, you got pin 1, then 8, 7, 6, 4, 2, 3, 5. What the heck is that about? Alright, well, kind of confusing me there. Do I just follow the pins as they're marked on here, or do I follow them naturally and around in here, and when I get to pin 5, that'll be like, say if it's 1 2 3 4 5 and pin 5 is there, will that be the same as the pin 5 that's showing it being like over here on the schematic? Just curious. Take care. This is Gary signing off.